Welcome to 0 to 60. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. Bree Mates is behind the microphone today on the ones and twos. Thankful for all she does to help keep the ship pointed in the right direction. It is Tuesday morning. We had yesterday off. We are going to roll to today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Try and give you 4 good shows this week at 10 a.m. here on the Believe Network on 0 to 60. The NCAA tournament is done, but BetOnline is your number one source for all of your summer sports this season, for Major League Baseball, to golf, the NBA, and, of course, the NHL, which are both going into the playoffs. The Avs and the Nuggets both being probably 1 seeds. We'll see tonight as the Avs go to Utah and then host Minnesota. And then Minnesota has DC. They have Washington, District of Columbia, and then, of course, they come to Denver tomorrow night, and the winner of that game is probably the 1 seed in winning the Northwest Division. Neither here nor there. From the latest stats, news, and scores available, BetOnline does it the best. They always give you the best information. I get my weather from that site. They do a great job. If you check out the website, go to betonline.com, use the promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, and they'll give you a 50% bonus on your first sign up. So you put $50 in, they give you 25 back. That's the way it starts, and that's the way it goes. BetOnline is where the game starts, and they are our title sponsor, and we are thankful for all that they do here to keep the party going on 0 to 60. Like I said, I am Matt McChesney. Bree Mason is behind the ones and twos. And, of course, we have a lot to talk about here on a Tuesday show. So from, the NCAA being done, UConn repeats, good for them. They whipped everybody's ass in this tournament. Alabama was the closest game that they had, but they ended up beating Purdue by 14 last night. And Purdue was a damn good basketball team. UConn repeats, first team since the Billy Donovan Florida Gators, with Joakim Noah on those teams to repeat. And before that, Duke, with Coach Hurley's brother that was on that team. So hats off to UConn. We'll see if they can three-peat. Probably doubtful, but we'll see. The NBA, is in full swing with the Nuggets, and we'll talk about them here a little bit as we get later into the week. I don't really want to just dive straight into the Utah game. They're 1-14 in their last 15 there in Salt Lake City. The big game is tomorrow night, so we'll see what happens with both Minnesota and Denver tonight, playing Utah and the Wizards. And then tomorrow night they face off at Ball Arena for probably the Northwest Division title.
We got some questions. You want to answer some questions?
Yeah. I mean, look, we watched WrestleMania this weekend. That was pretty fun. We can talk about some wrestling shit because, wrestling's entertaining, but I don't know how much of a sport it is. And I'm just saying that, although I couldn't do all that shit.
But you watched it.
Yeah, I did watch it, and I was entertained. I will say that. I was damn entertained, and I think I liked making fun of it more than I liked anything else.
The commentary was on point.
I will say that. But then, this, I'm seeing this right off the bat here, and I don't know if this is a question or a comment.
What is the question or the comment?
From Andre Duke here.
Let's see what Andre has to say. It's a question. It looks like, is Cormani McClain hitting the transfer portal?
No, I don't think Cormani. I mean, unless this is news that I just didn't see. Did anybody else see this? Because I didn't see this. I don't think that he is going to leave CU. I don't think he's going to hit the transfer portal at all. I know that there's been speculation because fanboys like to talk. But I mean, if you watched any of Coach JB's show this morning, you know that fanboys talk. I mean, Coach JB and I were at each other's necks this morning because a lot of it's just, there's so much speculation and like grandstanding around Colorado. It's ridiculous. People just say shit and they know they're going to get clicks and they know they're going to get likes. And it's one of the reasons, being such a diehard alum of the way I am, I love Coach Prime. I love what he's doing up there. I've been supporting since before. Look, I knew he was going to get this job 3 weeks before he got the job. Period. I mean, I was on the phone with his team and Rodney and all of his people and Bloom and Klatt and Pesavino and Rick George and Coach Barnett and God knows how many other people 3 fucking weeks before he got the job in Boulder. talking about, please, God, Rick George, don't go for comfort, go for greatness. Don't go hire Bronco Mendenhall. Go hire Coach Prime. So I've been doing nothing but supporting him and his son since he got up there. Now, I have a hard time supporting bullshit. Like if the offensive line play is atrocious, I'm going to have a hard time supporting that. If they can't run the football, I'm going to have a hard time supporting that. And Coach Prime knows that. Every time I put something out there on social media, he's one of the first ones to respond. I mean, and I know that he's watching, and he respects people that actually have an opinion and can back it up, which I do have an opinion, and I can back it up. So that's where the rapport comes between the two of us. I don't like it when people just go in on the Sanders family like they're any different than the Matthews family, like they're any different than the Manning family. I mean, Arch Manning is at Texas getting God knows how much NIL money. No one talks about him being unmotivated. I'm sure he drives a nice car because he doesn't put it on social media. All of a sudden, Shador is a turd, but Arch isn't. I find it's like it's low-lying fruit. And it's easy. It's easy for folks to hate on it. And I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. So, look, man, there's a lot of kids getting paid a lot of money to play football. And I'm all for it. Forever, college football players had to do everything for free, essentially. You're on scholarship, and it's great. And no one's sitting here talking shit. I'm glad I was on scholarship. But damn it, I would have really loved revenue sharing. I would have damn sure loved being able to make money off my name, image, and likeness. And I'm not going to sit around and act like that's a problem now just because it's new. I'm about as old school as it gets. And Bree can attest to this. I like things the way they were. But at the same time, I'm not sitting here acting like change isn't necessary, needed. All right. It's necessary and needed. And I'm glad it's happening. So, I mean, look, man, I don't know. I don't necessarily understand the just straight vitriol that's pointed at the Sanders family. It is unbelievable to me how just ridiculous people get with how like personal they take the Sanders family for being successful. Like at what point are you going to try and go get yours and stop being a whiny ass little bitch and actually like let the Sanders live, man?
It's low hanging fruit, Matt.
Low hanging. I don't think you can get any lower. Like this you might as well just be fucking digging up potatoes rather than trying to pick an apple. That's how fucking low it is, dog. Like you might as well dig some taters rather than pick a motherfucking orange.
It reminds me of the movie The Martian. Anyways, neither here nor there. Mike Bundy, thank you for
your go, Mike.
Not to you, but what are your expectations for Alabama?
The football program, I'm assuming. They look great basketball run, making the Final Four. My expectations for Alabama football are what the Crimson Tide's expectations are for Alabama football, and that's to win. I mean, just because the man Nick Saban's gone, that doesn't change the expectation. If anything, it makes it even more through the roof. If you look at it, pretty much every coach, and I don't know just the rundown of people that have been there since Bear Bryant, but not everybody wins natties. I can't remember the gentleman's name that won in 92 over the U, but I know that they won in 92 over Miami. I can't remember his name. Gene Stallings. Never mind. Gene Stallings was his name. So Coach Stallings won a national title. Coach Saban won 7, I think, and played in a variety of others. So pretty much Coach Saban is the Tom Brady of college football. And then, Coach DeBoer's got a really long road to hoe, to say the least. So, Coach Shula stepped in there. He didn't last very long. Coach Price stepped in there from Washington State. He didn't last none too long. It's a hard job because of the expectation, but the expectation is why you do the job. So I think Alabama is going to win football games. They're in the business of winning football games, and they have the resources to, i.e., win those football games. It's like the Calipari thing. Calipari's not leaving Kentucky because Arkansas is a better college football program. It's because in the NIL era, Arkansas has got Walmart, Jerry Jones, and Tyson Chicken behind them. And Kentucky doesn't want to pay NIL money. Kentucky wants to go cheap. So Calipari said, deuces, I'm out. I'm going to go to a fucking place where they'll just hand me money to go get players, and I don't have to listen to people complain about one and dones and going to the tournament every year. You go do what he's done at Kentucky and Arkansas, and the Razorbacks and Scott Hastings are going to be yelling fucking Pete Suey all fucking day. It's going to be nuts. So, it's the NIL era is now taking, for example, NIL scholarships, like the BYU donor who owns one of the protein companies and put every single BYU football player on scholarship. If you're a walk-on, you are no longer a walk-on. That's power right there. So, I think a lot of what you see now is the haves and have-nots, and the schools that are going to be able to rally up NIL money to help coaches be successful in retaining and obtaining personnel.
Awesome question, Mike. Thank you for your support, continuing to ask questions. There's a lot through here. Andre Duke wanted to know, did you play in Miami with Kirk Barton in 08?
I did, actually. Yeah. Kirk is now, I'm pretty sure Kirk is a graduate assistant and offensive line assistant at Alabama. Kirk's a good dude, played at Ohio State, hell of a lineman. We did play together down there in 08. Kirk's a good friend and a good dude. And yeah, we did. It was hot as balls.
In Florida?
Oh my God.
Imagine.
On my birthday in November, it was like 102 degrees.
Humid and shitty.
I was fucking cooking, man. It was not fun. It was kick ass, but it was not fun.
I like this question only because it elicits a reaction. Bree, do you have to talk Matt down sometimes?
What the fuck? What the fuck, Mike? Talk me down somewhat? Oh, sorry. My bad.
Even if I wanted to, I don't think I could. Joe Black says, good entertainment. Josh says,
we try.
I mean, we're doing something.
We try.
Great day to be great, everybody. Thank you, Josh, for your support and your
questions.
What we do. There's a lot of positivity in here. I just want to point to it because I think it's important to remember to recall what's good, what's not. Redmond 0610 says, good morning, Big Mac.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, my friend? Everybody on Twitch, we really, really appreciate all of you as well. Remember, super chats and subs are open. We really appreciate all of you contributing to the show on both sides. Look, I love this one. Oh my God, computer, this fucking computer, and this one big button.
It's a fucking mouse.
I didn't go off on JB, Daryl. I went off on what JB was saying, which I guess is going off on him.
Is that not the same?
So you are correct, my friend. Touche.
Touche. Way to point it out. That's okay though. That is that's the part of the business. Jamian says, love your honesty, Matt. What do you what do you think of Sapp? What do you think Sapp is teaching in practice? Well,
I saw a couple of little clips of him getting real pumped up about double team drill, which is playing a deuce. And that's what I expect. Coaching and fire and passion and the Hall of Famer and a guy who's going to go out there and fucking drip sweat with you and get you right. That, look, if the day ever comes when I actually get to coach at the college level, and a lot of it is me not pursuing it, not necessarily them not pursuing me, I will do it just like I do it at the gym. If any of you watched Mustafa Johnson and I last week get down, which, I'll have 1.5 million views on some stupid fucking hip video, but like 8,000 views on Mustafa Johnson working. I advise you to go check it out. Working a lot of like Coach Sapp's Olay moves where, they'll bait torque. You'll throw up your bait hand. If I'm a left guard, this is my bait hand. This is my torque hand. And I'll go after your wrist or elbow, your wrist, hand, elbow, shoulder, inside pec, and hip. Well, Coach Sapp will miss intentionally and reach around, grab the wrist and pull it and pop that fucking backside elbow or shoulder. And it is just, it's a devastating pass rush move that Mark Schlereth taught me trying to counter how to block Warren Sapp. So it's Coach Sapp's pass rush move taught to me by another, in my opinion, Hall of Fame offensive lineman and Mark Schlereth, who had to block Warren Sapp because I never got to play against Warren, and now it's being taught to me, and I'm teaching it to Mustafa, and that's the way this motherfucker rolls. But my point is, Coach Sapp is out there getting down with his guys. That is going to put the respect for him through the roof. If you see an active coach on the field that's all about it, that's the way I get down. If you are not sweating with your guys, if you're not getting down with them in technique work, you're not out there showing them how to do it. Number one, you're either a great big fat fuck and you can't do it, and that sucks because at some point you were an athlete if you're a coach, well, usually, And then the other part is if all you're doing is just pointing, you're not a leader, you're a boss. And that's not what we need. We need leaders, not bosses. So I think that Coach Sapp is going to give exactly what you saw. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. I'm pretty sure it's either on the pregame stuff or on Colorado. I can't remember which one of them, but I guarantee you he reposted too because he was hyped. And it just shows, the essence of football. I talk about this all the time. I talk about it on JB's show. I talk about it on 0 to 60 here on the Bleed Network. I talk about it everywhere I go. We're at the draft party for Let's Talk Broncos that we do later in the month. I'm going to be talking about it then with all those pencil necks, especially Mario. Okay, the one thing that never changes is the trench. A fucking deuce block, a heavy deuce to a fucking linebacker that's stacked. That is the most violent play in sports, and we can't change it. You can't regulate it. You can't fucking rule book it out. None of it. You take away that play, you take away football. So to see him getting so hyped about the 3 technique, being able to read the postman and blow his ass up and separate the two and shed and make a play. Well, as a former 3 technique at University of Colorado, that's what the fuck it's about. So when you have a Hall of Fame 3 technique teaching 3 techniques how to do it, a 3 technique behind the camera watching, and I'm working with Mustafa and all these other, everybody's watching it and everyone's like, that's the way it's supposed to be. Well, God damn it, that's the way it's supposed to be. Because the game changes. The game has changed so much for the skill players and the quarterbacks, but it has not changed at all for the trench. And when you're a trench monster, that's what you want.
You're going to have to go ahead and show me that wrist pull maneuver.
It's an intentional miss. Grab the wrist, pull real hard, and pop that motherfucking shoulder or the elbow, and sometimes you can really dislocate an elbow too. You hurt a motherfucker, but only if you like it.
I was talking about a little later. Andre Duke said an update with Kirk. He left coaching and is having an event in Columbus that I'm going to in Ohio for this spring game.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, I don't know if he left coaching or if he's still coaching, or whatever. But look, Kirk Barron's a great dude, and tell him I said what's up, and go Buckeyes. I know he's a huge supporter, and he's a hell of a coach. I wonder why he decided to step away. Maybe he just needed a break.
Okay, awesome. DC has a question, an interesting one. I don't know the answer to. What happened in the 01-02 bowl game versus Oregon? Apart from the ending, was an amazing season.
Well, number one, I was suspended for that game. I partied a little bit too hard. Me and Dan and Jesse and Sam and Clyde, rest in peace, brother. We all got suspended for partying too hard. But I'll tell you what happened. Long story. In 2001, obviously, the 9/11 terrorist attacks happened. And the University of Nebraska, in all their splendor and knowledge, you know what that N stands for, decided to play their game against Troy State or some shit. And we decided, the Colorado Buffaloes decided to honor America and the fallen and not go to Pullman and play. And because we did that, we had one less game than they did. And when we beat them by 30 on the day after Thanksgiving to go play for the Big 12 title, it essentially helped them because then they didn't have to go play Texas in the Big 12 title game. They only had one loss. They went and played for the Natty. We ended up playing Oregon in the Fiesta, and every single guy on our team didn't give a Tiffany fuck. I mean, people were so angry. I've never been in a room where nobody cared more than when they announced on the BCS that the team we had just beaten for the first time in 10 years, mind you, a hated rival that we just beat the absolute fucking bricks off of. Not only was Eric Kraus going to still win the Heisman, but they were going to go play Miami for the title, and we didn't get a shot at the bad boys. And I'm not saying we would have beat the U. We probably wouldn't have, but we would have given them a way better fucking game than that Nebraska team. That Nebraska team was soft as motherfucking baby shit, and we were not. So, again, not saying we would have beat them, but it would have been a much better game. Us or Oregon, the Joey Harrington Oregon team, they should have gone over us retrospectively looking at it now. So, it's another reason why I think the playoff is so needed. But, the BCS was just as corrupt as any other era in college football, to say the least. That's for goddamn sure. Giving a little bit of love to our people on Twitch here, too, as well. Big Quidnose is back in the house. I remember on Twitch, man, all the subs are open. Really appreciate you guys. We're still trying to figure out the relation between the two. So we're usually on StreamYard and YouTube here in the morning, but I'll figure out how to do the Twitch thing a little bit better. As an O-line coach, would you ever recruit 6'7", 6'8" tackle? I feel like the best ends are undersized guys right now, and they get leverage. Yeah, I'm only recruiting 6'7" and 6'8" tackles, dog. I mean, I want my left tackle to be 6'6", between 6'6" high and 6'8", with extremely long arms. I work with a kid right now named Brandon Crispy, and he's going to South Dakota, and he's a Power 5 D1 kid, 100%. I guarantee you he transfers up once he plays, and he's all of 6'8", really long. You know, Big Tank is going to Oregon State to play for Devan this year. He's been the starting left tackle up at CU forever. You know, he's lost about 25 pounds, and he's put on a good 30. We're going to have him on later in the week here, probably on Friday, and that's going to be a very open and honest conversation with a guy who just got done playing for Prime and is going to Oregon State this year, so you won't want to miss that. He is not one to pull punches, so I'm very eager to see what Tank has to say. But he's almost 6'10", for God's sake. So I want my tackles big. I mean, look at Coach Loadholt. Coach Loadholt is 6'9", 6'10". He's the coach up there. So I want my tackles big as shit. And honestly, I don't.
How does that affect leverage?
It affects leverage to a point. When you have really good pass rushers on the edge who are speed rushing you at 6'10", it's hard to bend that way. But at 6'10", with your explosive ability, 6'8", 6'7", whatever, you should be able to get in front of them, and then your length can counter that. Leverage is a problem. Big time leverage is a problem inside. When you have a 6'6" guard playing against a 6'6" Aaron Donald, a 6'6" John Randall, that is, not only are those guys explosively just different, but they're as strong as the 6'5", 6'6" guard, and they've got leverage on the guards and the centers. So it's one of the reasons, like you bring up, somebody brought up Drake Nugent. Drake is a great center because of his leverage. I don't want a 6'5" center. You know, I played center a little bit, and I was 6'3", and I was a little big. So I want a leverage player at the center position. I want a leverage player at the 1 or the 3 technique. At 6'3.5", 6'4", I was a perfect size for a 3 technique. Now, Aaron Donald at 6'1", 275 pounds is the perfect size for any position because he's Aaron fucking Donald. Let's just remember that. Guy could have played middle linebacker if he wanted to. So size is important, but the size of your heart and is it connected to your head, those are going to determine whether or not you can play this game after you get on the field. But there's so many guys who, look, tackle is one of those positions where you have to look the part in order to play it. I don't know any 6'2" tackles that are playing in the National Football League. So that said, I know a ton of 6'2" guards and centers that play in the National Football League. So I guess it's all relative.
You know who doesn't want a 6'6" center?
Tell me.
Russell Wilson.
That's for damn sure. Fucking midget.
Could Drake Nugent get drafted by the Steelers in the first round?
I don't know about the first round. I think the Steelers are picking somewhere around 23, 24. They lost in the first round. That said, I wouldn't put it. I'm not going to say no. I mean, shit, if they want to use their first round pick on the best center in the draft, outside of the Jackson Powers kid from Oregon, who's outstanding as well, I don't think you can go wrong there. But I'll tell you who needs a center badly and who is in the business of letting great centers that they draft, i.e. the last couple that they've drafted, and they did that before that. It's like they drafted Tom Nalen to let him play here for fucking 20 years almost, and then we're like, you know what? We don't like drafting future Hall of Famers that just stay here forever, i.e. the Denver Broncos. They did it with McGovern, and now he had a great career in New York and will probably end up signing there again. They did it with Cushenberry, and Lloyd just got $10 million from Tennessee. So, yeah, if you're Drake Nugent and, he's going to be home for the draft, you might as well just wrap this up with a nice little orange and blue bow on top of it and go from winning a natty, having a nice little degree from Stanford, getting his master's from Michigan, winning a natty, going and getting drafted by his hometown team and playing here for a long time. That sounds about as good as it gets to me. So if you've got a second or a third round pick there, even a fourth, and you're trying to accumulate some big time talent, Drake Nugent's going to be sitting there at the center position, Denver Broncos. So you might want to pull your head figuratively and literally out of your ass, take a big deep breath.
Can you tell people to like the stream real quick?
Yeah, like the stream or else. Subscribe or else. On Twitch, subscribe and like or else. And Nick needs fucking Jordans and shit. Let's go. Wear the super chats and the subs or else.
I'm the
That's
one.
not how it works.
I'm supposed to threaten people.
That's not how it works.
Jamie Blackman said, "I'm curious to know your insight and opinion on Tyler Brown." Also, I let Cap 93 know that we're going to be doing offensive line pros and cons, which you also promised to do on Let's Talk Broncos. So I think we should cross-stream that.
Cross-streaming.
So that it...
You never cross the fucking stream.
Why did you
We watched Ghostbusters yesterday. You got to fucking know better, Bree. You don't cross the streams ever.
Why did you have to go there? Tyler Brown, opinion.
Okay, Tyler Brown. Tyler Brown is running with the twos right now. He is getting some runs with the ones, but usually he's with the twos unless I'm mistaken. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to go down. Somebody's not going to play well in camp. It's good to have depth. So I really like Tyler Brown. I really wish he could have played last year. He could have solved some of our problems inside. And unfortunately, I've had this happen to me where, I missed an entire season because of injury when I was with the Jets and we were bad. And they had a really bad player playing in front of me. And I would have been starting over him all year if I could have played, but it broke my leg. And so I'm watching this guy just struggle and we suck. And I'm like, next year's my year. And then they went and signed Alan Faneca. Fuck. Now, Alan's one of my best friends and I love him. And I'm glad they signed him. But Alan Faneca's the first ballot Hall of Fame offensive lineman. So I didn't have a job no more. So but this is kind of what happens. Brown watched all these guys last year struggle and was like, I can really help. And then Coach Prime went out and fortified, and now he's fighting for an opportunity. And honestly, that's the kind of place you want to be. You don't necessarily want to be at a place like CU used to be where you could get a job and keep it forever. When I was there, if you fucked up once, you lost your job, dog. It was gone. Like you poof, you never play again sometimes. So, and there was no transfer portal to like run to. So, I think that there's going to be some guys going in the transfer portal here shortly. I know Savion Washington's going to the transfer portal here soon, and they just lost another DB to the transfer portal. So I don't know if Brown's going to go that route or not. I can't imagine he would with all the bullshit he had to put up with the NCAA the last time he did it. But there's going to be more turnover here in the spring, kind of portal here. I'll have a really good look at CU and have a lot of information for you next week. As Saturday, we're taking a huge group of the Dungeon family up there on Saturday to do like our own little 6-0 junior day. So can't wait for that. And we got a little present for Coach Prime too. I'm super pumped about taking him his own little. I'll let you see. I'll do a video. He'll do a video. We'll do a video together. It'll be tight. It'll be tight. So I will say this. It's an equal opportunity business, and that means that you have the opportunity to excel. But at the same time, sometimes when you say, I don't want to really go through this anymore and I'm going to hit the portal, maybe the adversity that you're avoiding is what's keeping you from being great.
Spot on. James 1982 wants to know, was a solar eclipse available or able to be seen in Colorado?
I don't know, was it?
You went out there.
Man, I was out there, but I don't get it. Okay, I'm looking at the sun. Everyone's telling me, don't look at the sun. I'm like, how am I supposed to see the fucking eclipse if I don't look at the sun?
You don't get the fact that the moon
I didn't see it, man. And I guess I just missed it, or I was looking left or something, but it just didn't work for me. And I know it was really cool for everybody else, but just like everything else, it didn't work for me. The eclipse, I just couldn't figure it out.
You're
Big dummy.
Directly at the sun.
I was looking at like a fucking, you had me looking at a pasta drainer.
A
colander. And it was like, look, it's a crescent. And I was like, but it's a circle, but it's a crescent because of the moon. That was cool. I felt like I was in third grade science class, dog. I don't know.
You're fucking welcome.
Yeah,
Dante wants to know thoughts on this year's potential offensive scheme versus last.
All right. So the offensive coordinator, how do you say his name, Bree?
Shurmur.
Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur has practiced incompletions before.
Sorry, we just got a sub.
Just let's go. Who did it?
Luke Macklin over on YouTube.
Luke, you're the man. We love you. Patty Boy used to practice incompletions. Now, I really doubt that's happening in Boulder because Coach Prime, who was the head coach when Patty Boy was here? Vic?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Prime ain't Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio cares about nothing but cover 2 sink. That's it. Everybody cover 2 sink, rally, and tackle. That's how that's all he did to coach in 4 fucking years here. And he was only here, was he here 3? Yeah, well, 3 years, whatever. Cover 2 sink. And then it wore off into this year too because VJ's scheme sucked, and then he took over Vance's scheme and cover 2 sink. So that's cool. But I look, all joking aside, I think a professional scheme will help Shedeur even more for the simple fact that when you're looking at, like, who does he idolize? Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the best under center at the line of scrimmage quarterback other than Peyton Manning ever. And they're 1A and 1B. I mean, it's they might both be 1A. Fuck. They are incredible at the line of scrimmage. And I know this after playing against both of them. I know for a fact, like, we'll put it like this. I was in a Monday night game when I was a rookie against the Patriots. Okay. They won the Super Bowl this year. And we're playing in Monday night in East Rutherford. And we've got this like pirate blitz on. I'm the 3 technique, and we're going to roll and drop the backside when Vrabel's in the game on the goal line. And it's gonna trick Brady. He's going to throw a pick, and Vrabel only catches touchdowns. Blah, 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 blah. So we get out there, and we set up to run this blitz, and he hard counts us. And he just goes, and just backs up out of under center and looks right at Jonathan Vilma and goes, that fucking bullshit's not going to work. Watch this. Hikes the ball, throws a touchdown to Vrabel, and just looks at us, starts talking mad shit running off the field. The ability to change everything at the line of scrimmage is what Shedeur wants to do. So I'm assuming that that's why Shermer is going to be the OC. It's why he's the quarterback coach. It's why he's so ingrained in everything here. It's hopefully those two are just sitting there watching tape together all day, every day, trying to get in each other's heads so we can determine the best way to play quarterback, not the best way to compile stats at the quarterback position. Sometimes the stats can be misleading. I don't necessarily want to lead the league in throwing yards. I want to lead the league in efficiency. I want to be a 60-40 pass to run, team where we can run the football and assault the line of scrimmage and take some of the pressure off the offensive line and allow the receivers to run open with big play action looks and be able to utilize waist downs and be able to utilize sprint out and bootleg, something that last year was just not there for the Colorado Buffaloes, that they really, really underutilized, to be able to really utilize the screen game rather than rely on it. They relied on the screen game for the run game. They didn't utilize the screen game through the run game. So if you can't change what you're doing on the field out here, man, that is the number one precursor for me that you shouldn't be calling plays if you can't change. If your plan won't or doesn't have like an avenue where we can go scrap this fucking plan and change it, your plan sucks. Your plan sucks. If we can't scrap it and change it immediately, your plan sucks, and we shouldn't be running it. Now, I watched Coach Prime in the middle of the year last year scrap the offensive coordinator and say, this sucks, and try and change it. That's how I know that he's more committed to winning than the shine, like so many of you fucking idiots out here think that he is. And there's a lot of folks here in the comments. We really appreciate you that aren't like that too. We got to throw you some high fives too. Like, there's a lot of people that have Coach Prime's back and have my back and have CU's back. There's also a lot of haters out here that will do anything to try and ruffle feathers and talk shit. I mean, Coach JB is one of them, and it worked because I was mad as fuck at that guy this morning, but it's what we do. It's okay. When I see him face to face, he'll be another quarterback and I'll be a 3 technique. We know how that ends all the time. So going full circle back here, I think Shedeur's tough. I think he's smart. If you look at like the 5 characteristics that Coach Prime wants, Shedeur has all of them. Consequently, that's very similar to what Coach Belichick's like 5 things are, like smart, tough, competitive, loves football, things of that nature. I can't remember the 5th one. The cheats. That's it. Cheats their ass off. That's a Belichick one. But neither here nor there. That was just shade. I got to throw shade when I have to. The guy's got 10 motherfucking Super Bowls. It's okay. He can get over it.
Respect the greatness.
He's the best head coach in the history of coaches. There's not a debate.
Oh, or did you run out of steam on that one?
Yep.
I didn't mean to highlight that just yet. East Coast Gridiron has a question. Matt,
yep.
I'm going to be watching O-lineman all 22 film for my preparation for the draft. What's the most important thing I should be looking for? Admittedly, O-linemen are not my strong suit. Thanks.
Well, thank you, East Coast Gridiron. We appreciate you. The number one thing I would be looking for, number one, is if you're looking from like a tangible, what's on tape, effort. Does he finish blocks? Does he chase the ball? How does it is afterwards, are the defensive players and the refs like walking up to him and talking to him on film and telling him to slow down? Like that's the kind of, like, is he Quinn minoring
Minors?
Quinn minoring people? It's an adjective now because he fucks people up.
Like trees.
Yes. Well, fuck that tree. Those trees got it off. Those trees got off easy from what I've been seeing on film. So you go watch Quinn play. Like, I pride myself on any of the film that I had when I was playing of, like, I wanted to be the last guy moving in the clip on defense or offense. If I didn't have the refs walking up to me telling me to calm down, stop talking shit, stop putting people on the ground, you're going to hurt somebody, I'm not doing my job right. So that's what I would look for. And that's what I try and get all my offensive linemen to live by, that standard of, you have the ability now to be the most annoying prick on earth and get away with it. An offensive lineman should be the most annoying, like a little gnat in your ear that won't leave you alone. Like, you just can't get comfortable at night when you're trying to go to bed. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good offensive lineman. Now, there's a difference between evaluating the interior three and the tackles. For tackles, I'm looking for balance and explosive nature off the inside of his foot. Can he use both hands correctly? 2 hands for offensive linemen might as well be 1 fucking hand. Is he consistently getting beat the same way? Like, that's a huge tendency indicator here when you talk about, like, everything that they look at on film. Is the offensive lineman getting beat the same way? Consequently, when you're looking at defensive players, do they win only one way? Like, can he only beat you on speed? Can he only beat you bull rushing? Can he only beat you inside? Or is he a 3-way pass rusher? A 4-way pass rusher? Does he have the ability to bend? Can he throw a counter? Does he look like he has a fucking plan? Things of that nature. So, it goes both ways, but when you're evaluating both offensive and defensive linemen, effort is the number one thing that you're looking for. I don't care what it is. The only reason I was any good on offense, I remember when they moved me. I sat down. It was the last guy cut. I was heartbroken because if you make it to 7 p.m., you're on the team, and I made it to 7:05, and they called me the fucks. And so I get there, and they tell me to bring in my playbook, and I get there, and I hand them the playbook, and they hand me back a playbook. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And they're like, well, do you want to play offense, or do you want to play defense, or do you want a job, Matt? And I'm like, I guess I'll take a job. And they're like, all right, you're playing guard and center now. And Bill Callahan, the great Bill Callahan, who was the offensive line coach with the Jets at the time, who consequently was the coach at Nebraska when I was a senior at CU. And I told him verbatim on the field, shut the fuck up and go fuck yourself, coach. And then he ended up being my position coach. A little weird. All he did was look at me and go, I've been like priming you up for this for a year. He used to walk by me in stretch line and be like, you'd be a good old lineman, play so hard. And I used to talk shit and like laugh at him back. And then it happened. The snap count now. It's all he told me. Play as hard as you usually play, and now you know the snap count. And I was like, I'm into this shit. I'm fucking into this. So, it's all a mindset, man. But the trench is the trench. And if you take the right mindset in, you'll be okay.
Big Quiznos wants to know, do you think O-lines are pulling less compared to when you played?
No, I think they run the ball less. I think they just run the ball less. There's less opportunity to do that. And one of the best things for offensive linemen is getting in to open field and being able to pull. It's like when you're getting the ball on a screen as a skill player, when you're getting the ball on a handoff as a skill player, that's our opportunity to get the ball. So we love you, Coach. Fuck you too, you son of a bitch. I'll be back tomorrow morning. God damn it, we got into it this morning. It was like a married couple fighting over something. We were just screaming at each other. I don't even know what we were mad at each other about, but that's okay.
I don't know, but the coffee was not full. There was a little speculation earlier in the chat.
Coffee wasn't full. It was all ice.
There was nothing wasted.
No, I got it all in before I threw it against the wall really hard. And fuck you, Coach!
It's a great reaction.
Folks will look at that and be like, oh, okay, they must hate each other, right? They're trying to black that part out, the fucks. I don't hate him. I hate his face, but I love him as a friend. That's the way that we talk. That's the way we talk to each other. Guaranteed, if I was his offensive line coach and he was the head coach and we had a disagreement, that's the way the fight would probably be in the meeting room. And then we'd walk out and I'd give him a big hug and maybe, Schmitty could come by and Chicago backhand both of us and everything would be, what? Smitty, and then everything would be everything. I know it's disgusting. You should see Bree's face. She's like kind of excited, yet kind of disgusted at the same time. It's fucking weird.
Fuck you. I'm just glad I'm not on camera right now. A lot of people want to know. Just laugh at a fucking chuckles. How are you feeling about the D-line, O-line coaches plus the O-line, D-line? Like in general, thoughts, feelings.
Way better than I did last year. I mean, look, going into last year, I didn't know any better. Okay. After the first 3 weeks, I didn't know any better. Like I thought Nebraska kind of beat us up on the defensive line, but we fucking crushed them by so much it didn't matter. But Coach JB brought this up. He's right. Last year we went to Oregon and they shit stomped the fuck out of us and they put us on blast. And they said, this is what a potential playoff team looks like and you're not there yet. So that was really the eye opener. Like, oh man, we're behind. And then it continued. Now, when I say continued, I'm not saying they got shit stomped in all these games because they didn't. They only really got beat up in 2 football games the rest of the year. Every other game was a one score loss. The Oregon State, the Arizona games, those 2 really hurt. The Stanford game, obviously, that's a killer. That keeps you out of a bowl. But those games are all directly related to the inability to run the football consistently and pick up first downs and keep the opposing offense off the field, and then the inability to stop the run. And as a guy who played 3 technique at the University of Colorado, I understand how hard it is to stop the run. I get it, but it's your job and take some pride in it. And look, I'm not going to sit here and like blow my own horn or anything, but if you look at last year's 3 techniques, I don't know what their numbers are. Okay. I'd imagine they're not great. But the 3 technique in every single goddamn defense that I've ever been in, including the ones I played in, you're there to make plays. So my senior year and the year before me was Tyler Brayton, who went in the first round, or 2 years before me in the first round. And the year before that was Bannon. And the year before that was Jesse Warren. And like, there's just dudes just falling out of the rafters in Boulder playing 3 technique. And after me was George Hippolyte and then Mustafa. And like, if you're not making fucking plays, you can't play this position at 3 technique in Boulder. So my senior year, when I had 60 tackles and 11 TFLs and 9 sacks, well, that's what you expect from a 3 technique that has a 2-way go capability. I didn't watch a 3 technique in Boulder take a 2-way go last year to save his motherfucking life. I mean, it's not just cover up blocks and let the linebackers Bentley and Woods just run. A lot of the time, a 3 technique is 100% one-on-one too. You can just annihilate the guard in front of them. So I think that all they can do on offense and defense is get better, because any worse, and I can't watch. And not only I won't be the only one not watching. If they were any worse, I don't see how anybody could watch. Coach Prime would freak out. Shador would be freaking out. I don't see a world where they could be worse than they were last year on both fronts. Adding Coach Sapp to the mix on defense and all the guys they brought in on the defensive line, and then we'll see who they bring in the spring cycle. Consequently, adding Coach Lodeholt on offense and all the guys he's brought in, and there's just the Jordan Seaton and the overall mindset up front of them looking like they are in the business of beating the shit out of people right now. That is what you want in Boulder. Every good CU team that's ever been any good since the fucking start of Colorado football, if they are not good on the offensive and defensive lines, they are not a good football team, regardless of your skill positions. So now that you've added quality play on the O&D line with elite quarterback play, elite receiver play, Dylan Edwards is an unbelievable talent at running back. Travis Hunter, I thought it was funny listening to Coach JB this morning say that somehow Travis Hunter's at a disadvantage now too. Like, that's the best college football player in college football. So the only thing that's at a disadvantage is everybody that tries to cover and or play receiver against 12. So I think that CU is going to shock a lot of people, and don't be surprised if, I saw a lot of folks hating on the fact that they put the Big 12 title on their schedule. Like, oh, they got some audacity putting the Big 12 title on their schedule. Don't be surprised if they're playing in it.
Here's a good question for your old head ass. Is it embarrassing to see division rival players jersey swap?
In the NFL or in college?
Okay, let's. I took it as NFL.
Okay, NFL. No, I gave up on this. I don't care.
College though.
In college, I never would have done it. Never, because number one, Schmitty, the athletic, the equipment guy in Boulder, the assistant AD. Well, he's not playing that shit. Schmitty is the man. He ain't playing that. Number one, but number two, I ain't giving you my job. I don't like you. Like that's the before transfer portal and shit. Number one, in the NFL, I did it. I mean, you've been to the gym. How many jerseys are on the wall?
Many.
So I jersey swap with my guys all the time. I think it's important. In the NFL, it's different because a lot of those cats played together in college and they're brothers, and the NFL is a mercenary business. So I understand where you're coming from, but I don't give a shit about that at all.
Let's see.
Oh, Jacob thinks Colorado will get curb stomped by the Big 12.
Well,
I wonder if
he said curb stopped, so I love the
stopped.
autocorrect.
Okay, never mind. Learn how to type, Demi.
Don't be surprised if they only win 5 games. We'll do a schedule prediction when we get closer.
I'll be shocked if they only win 5 games.
Well, they'll be better. Matt, who's going to be the guy in Colorado that we don't know about yet who will have a big year?
Well, you know about him, but I think Bentley, the middle linebacker, I think he'll be one of the Butkus finalists. I just really do. He is sideline to sideline. That son of a bitch can play. Moving Woods next to him last year made him a ton better and made Trevor a ton better too. I think they're going to be really good at the linebacker position next year. So I think Bentley is going to be an absolute animal at the linebacker position for CU moving forward into next season. And then Charlie Offerdahl. I know last year he was a walk-on and didn't get a ton of run, but I really think Charlie is the kind of guy that Coach Prime loves. 44 is always working. He's never talking about the portal. He doesn't want to go down to play. Charlie's the kind of guy that he goes to Northern Colorado and he'll put 1,800 yards on the board quick. But he's I remember meeting with Charlie and his father back in the day, and I'll eat crow on this quick and gladly, and telling him I don't know if you're big enough or strong enough. And he looked at me and said, "No, I'm going to play D1 Power 5." And that's the same attitude I have. Tell me I can't do some shit and I'll go do it. And I've had nothing but respect for the kid since he told me that. And then watching him and his mustache out there power through it, it's good to see. So don't be surprised if 44 is out there fucking balling this year too.
Reports are that Miles Slusher is going to be hitting the portal. Who's the safeties then when he's out?
Yeah, I don't know who they've got in line, but I will say this. Very rarely does Coach Prime know somebody's going to hit the portal and doesn't have a plan to replace them. So most likely, I would guess that this is, look, you're not going to be our starter next year. We're going to replace you. You might want to think about hitting the portal. That I know that's the saving on Washington's hitting the portal. I know that's probably the MO there as well. So, a lot of these guys, you have to look at it like there's some people who are pissed off at Coach Prime for using the portal the way he does, but I think it's just the professional way of doing things. Sit the kid down, tell him that he can play. He just can't play here. There's another opportunity for him out there, and that's all we want as players is honesty. So just be honest with us, and we'll figure it out and go somewhere else and play. So I prefer it like that. I like it like that. Just tell me the truth so I can move on with my life.
East Coast Kev.
Get him, East Coast. East Coast Kev's in the house. Hard.
Josie Nwankwo, not being talked enough about. That defensive line will dominate this year. I just wish you and Sapp could put them pads on.
And look, that's the thing is bringing Coach Sapp in and allowing him to just kind of not have any. He doesn't have any scheme responsibility. He doesn't have to teach them how to play on overfront. He needs to teach the individual guys when he sees them struggling how to overcome the deuce block, how to play the deuce quick, how to play a Rico, how to throw the old jab Olay or how the Sapp Olay, how to do those things. That's what he's there for. So I really think that the defensive line is going to be nasty. And like Nick Williams going to Syracuse, that sucked. I didn't like losing him. But bringing in Coach Sapp, it kind of evens out the entire playing field, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, if you're a defensive lineman out there and you don't want to come play for Coach Sapp and Coach Sanders in Boulder, you don't want to play.
Vacationing wants to know which schedule is tougher, CU this year or last year?
Oh, CU's schedule last year was ruthlessly terrible.
Brutal?
Oh, my God. It was super brutal. I mean, and I think it's one of the reasons why they struggled so much is because they were playing a ranked team every week, and the Pac-12 last year was really good. It figures the last year they were in or a league that they were their best. I think that if you look at it, I think that the Big 12 this year, there's some really we're not like head and shoulders better than anybody, but we do have the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the conference. I like the kid from Kansas State a lot. I think he's a damn good player, but I don't know if he's a better player than Shedeur. I think we have the best quarterback in the conference. I think we have the best skill player in the conference. Now the difference is going to be, can we have the fifth best run defense and the sixth or seventh best run offense? Can we have some balance, which is directly related to the ability to actually play the position? So are we better on the offensive and defensive lines? And therefore, can we stop the run better? And can we run the ball better? And then can we earn the opportunity to pass rush? That's really going to be the key here. And if you don't know what that means, is play first and second down like your fucking life depends on it, and earn the opportunity to go rush the passer on third down.
Luke, appreciate the feedback. Said he watched your interview with Coach Prime and knew he had to subscribe. Listen, you're missing out on a ton of content if you're not already.
Yeah, we got some interviews in that son bitch.
If you like what Matt does, not only on YouTube, Twitch, etc., you got to go follow TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, get your fill. There's a lot of content going on, and we can't post it all here on YouTube. So go check them out. 60 Academy, everywhere you get your shit. East Coast Gridiron with a 10. When defensive ends are playing 5-tech super wide off the line, what should offensive tackles do to win against a super athletic guy that bends really well? I see a lot of this in this year from this year's edges.
And we appreciate you, bro. You've been all over this morning, and boy, we appreciate you. And we got 191 eyes on in here. We're not stopping until we get to 200 or plus. So make sure everybody get in here and get some eyes on. And subs and super chats are open on both Twitch and YouTube, and here on StreamYard. So look. This is the difference. It's called the war triangle, okay? And I do this at the gym all the time. And this afternoon, when I go back on Twitch, I'll get on the board and I'll show everybody what the war triangle is, and then I'll go show them on the field when we go back out. But it's points, okay? So the triangle is going to be where the pass rusher is, where the tackle is, where the quarterback is, and if you kind of point those, that gives you your frame of reference on where inside the triangle the tackle can operate, the angles of rush, the vertical angle, the inside angle to the quarterback, and the flat angle around the quarterback so you don't run around him. That's a big part of the pass rusher. And then also the quarterback, you can't step behind the back angle. You got to step up into a wide and firm pocket. It gives every offensive lineman a little bit more of a strategic way to think about it from an angles perspective, not just pass setting a guy. Where am I in relation to the quarterback? Where's the pass rusher in relation to me? The pass rusher's job is not necessarily to beat the offensive lineman, it's to hit the quarterback. The offensive lineman's job is to block the defensive lineman. I don't want the defensive lineman thinking, I got to beat the offensive lineman. Motherfucker, that's your job. You better beat his ass. The offensive player's job is to block you. Your job is to be disruptive. And I don't care how you do it, but you've got a gap and a man, and you've got to assault the gap by beating the man. That's the way it works. So a lot of it is just the overall angles of play. Overall angles of play.
Awesome. Comments. Sorry, there's a lot of questions coming through. Matt, when you played 3-tech, what was your go-to move?
In the pass rush, my go-to move was the inside stutter. So you go up, they throw both hands, I grab the inside elbow and then go lay inside. That or the sugar straight, because this is 2 arms, that's 1 arm, and I'm way longer with 1 arm than 2. So just little things like that, and then little couple ear slaps to the hole. That's always fun. Making fun of guys' moms, always fun. Things like that.
That's not a move. College Bound, CFL. Matt, 2 things. How do you feel about Dan Lanning having a post-spring game concert? Also, somebody asked about Dan Lanning being the best coach on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So,
well, okay. I think Dan Lanning is an incredible coach. I think he's smart because it worked. I mean, look, when you do something, everybody wants to mimic it if it's good. And Coach Prime pulled all this off last year, and now the bigger programs are going to mimic it and see if they can pull it off. But I think Dan Lanning's an incredible coach. There's some Colorado people that will hate that, but I've known Dan forever, way before he was, a big timer at Alabama and Georgia and then Oregon. And I think he's going to do a great job at Oregon. I don't see him leaving there anytime soon. If he's not going to take the Alabama job, why, I don't see him leaving to go anywhere else. So I think he's a great coach and does a great job. And I'm very eager to see who they have as a concert guest, I guess. But, it's not Lil Wayne, I'll tell you that shit. But yeah, every school is going to go down this road. Why wouldn't you?
It's a trendsetter. That's just what it is. I like this one. It's interesting. I haven't thought about it. IMCC wants to know any concerns about the amount of content and the plays being shown by the Buffs on YouTube.
No. And look, this is the same kind of, and we appreciate you, IMCC. This is the same kind of shit that I feel like I don't care what we put on tape. I don't care what I put on film at the gym. I don't care what, a high school coach like getting angry at me about watching film with a kid. Bro, it's on tape. Everybody can see what you're doing anyway. Every game from last year is on film. There are no secrets. Everybody's got a book on each other. Good football players study film. Like there is no more of this like, oh my God. First of all, if you are a player or a coach and the number one thing that you want is to keep your film away from other people, you suck.
Awesome.
You fucking suck. Because anybody that's any good, if anybody that's any good, you can watch my film all day. You can know the formation. You can know the play. You can know the snap count. I'll tell you the fucking play. You have to stop it. Line up a 3 technique and I'm the guard and I'll walk up and go, deuce heavy, motherfucker. To you, we're deucing your bitch ass. And we'll see if you can hold up. And if you can hold up, then respect. And if you can't, then I'm going to walk back into the huddle and go, run deuce again. Run power at this soft motherfucker again. Let's go. He don't want it. And that's just the way the game works. So I personally think that if you're trying to hide what you do on the field, then you probably shouldn't be on the field, you sorry ass motherfucker.
Steal signs all you want.
Steal them. I don't give it. Well, it's not baseball. Football's not baseball.
Oh, I was referencing. No, I know.
Well, you're talking like the Michigan thing?
Yeah.
I don't care. Steal signs. I don't care.
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Look, stop it. Do it. Like the fact that like so many people were so mad at Michigan for stealing signs and they caught them, right? They caught them. And then what did they do after they caught them? Michigan went to Penn State and ran the ball 30 straight times and won. They beat Ohio State's ass. Then they went in the playoff and beat Alabama's ass. And then they went and beat Washington. I mean, come on, dog. And somewhere in there, Iowa got hammered. Iowa's the best defense in the country. Shut them out. So, like, at some point, you just have to understand that when you're better than people, it doesn't matter if they know what you're doing or not.
There's a lot of people who are really curious on whether or not Cormani is ineligible.
I don't work for the goddamn student fucking affairs department, homie. I don't know if the kid's ineligible or not. I bet you he won't be ineligible. How much you want to bet he won't be ineligible? I used to be on the cusp of being ineligible all the time, and then I went and took math mods and all this other bullshit.
If social media was a thing when you were playing?
Oh, I wouldn't have made it out of Colorado. There's no fucking way.
I love Matt. He's the GOAT. Say hello to John. He's in the chat.
What's up, John the Liquidator? What are you liquidating today, dog?
Dude.
Going after him.
Import, export. Luke wants to know.
Import, export business. Nice. Nice.
What is the perfect size for a middle linebacker?
I don't give a shit. You can be a 5'10" fucking eater like Zach Thomas, but I just get sideline to sideline. Like, this is the thing is I don't care about size. I mean, I do to a point. Like we can't have a bunch of like, a bunch of like midgets playing professional football, but at the same time, size is overrated. Like if you're playing a kid just because he's big, he probably sucks. If you're playing a kid just because he's fast, he's probably a track star. Like I think that there's so many good football players that are overlooked because some idiot coach is like, oh, he doesn't fit my size spectrum. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's always the same coaches that didn't fit the size spectrum. And then they get into coaching and they're like, yep, I was too small, so I'm not going to give the other kid who needs an opportunity, who's too small an opportunity because he can't play. I need the 6'4" motherfucker.
What's your wingspan?
My wingspan used to be a lot better, but my left arm doesn't really work very well. So
that wasn't a personal attack.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what my wingspan is. My wingspan is 2 inches from the ground.
Matt, thoughts on the center position? God damn it. Oh, thoughts on the center position battle, and then I just want to switch gear. We're running on an hour now, and
Yeah, when you got this many people watching, we're not going to get off. Fuck it. Get off before we get off. What was the question?
Thoughts on the center position battle?
The center position battle up in Boulder. It's needed. You know, I like the fact that Zelinkus is pushing. You know, Wells going to Oregon State. He wanted to go play with Coach Porkchop. Kyle Devan, that's his nickname. Just like Tank, good for them. They found a home. They both are going to go up there and start. It's awesome. Again, we'll have Tank on the show later in the week, most likely on Friday. But I like the competition at center, you know, and the smartest guy wins. And honestly, if I'm Colorado, I'm probably going with Zelinkus because he's young, he's spry, he's a Colorado kid, and they don't have a whole lot of those on the roster. That's a good thing. You don't just play him because of that, but that kid, what he did last year against CSU, man, Zelinkus stepped in against CSU last year and absolutely balled out. He calmed down the front. He made all the right calls. During the 2-minute drill at the end of the game, he was flawless, picking up all the cross dogs. And then in overtime, he didn't have one bad snap, and everything was on point. And he made all the right calls, and that's a freshman doing it. And power-packed, absolutely pressure point moment of the year. So I personally think that he's going to be a hell of a football player and a future pro, and I'd be playing Zelinkus at center. There you go. There's my answer.
Hey, Matt, do you think the Nuggets will repeat? I don't see anyone beating them in a 7-game series. That's what I said.
And then, look, we're going to talk about the Nuggets later in the week. They've got Utah tonight. They're at Utah. They're 1-14 under Michael Malone at Utah. I don't know why we can't win there. But who gives a shit? Minnesota's got the Wizards this evening, so we'll see if they even, like both teams, even play their big guys because tomorrow night, Minnesota and Denver play in Denver. So that's a huge one. And, you know, probably the winner of that game is probably going to win the division. So I do think that they're going to repeat. I don't think anybody can beat them in a 7-game series. You might be able to get them once or twice, you know, every now and then. Like the Suns got them twice last year, but you ain't beating them in 7. And then it's the question of, can they three-peat? Can you pull a Kobe and a Shaq? Can you pull a Mike? Can you three-peat? So, you know, that puts Nicole on a whole nother level if he can wake up and three-peat. So I'm super excited about it. I'm trying to get my man Scotty Hastings from the old Altitude days on the show here later in the week to talk about the Nugs as well. So we've got a lot of guests coming up, from Drake Nugent to Big Tank to Scott Hastings and so many others, and we're excited about it. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
We are. Everybody like the stream, or else
please do.
I'm sick of threatening people.
Twitch, YouTube, subscribe, like, subs are open, super chats are open. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. That's Bree Mason. I'm Matt McChesney. Deuces.
Bye. I don't know anything else.